40,000 years ago, humans survived temperatures of minus 40 degrees. No fire, no shelter, just skin. They didn't have fur. They didn't have thick body fat like a polar bear. They had one trick, and it involved never washing their bodies. Ever. That's not a joke. That's not an exaggeration. Not bathing was the difference between living through the winter and freezing to death in your sleep. By the end of this video, you'll understand the disgusting survival trick that kept our ancestors alive and why your instinct to shower every day might actually be working against your body's natural defenses. Picture this. You're standing outside right now in minus 40 degrees. Your modern coat is gone. Your gloves are gone. You have animal skin wrapped around your body, and that's it. Within 10 minutes, exposed skin starts to freeze. Within 30 minutes, frostbite sets into your fingers and toes. Within 2 hours, without protection, your body temperature drops low enough to kill you. That was Tuesday for an Ice Age human. They didn't have thermostats, they didn't have synthetic insulation. They had their own bodies, and their bodies had to do all the work. Every single layer of protection came from what their skin could produce, and what they chose not to wash away. Modern humans shower daily. We strip our skin of oil constantly. Ice Age humans did the opposite, and that difference is why they survived conditions that would kill most of us in hours. This isn't speculation. Anthropologists studying Paleolithic remains, alongside modern research on indigenous Arctic populations like the Inuit, have documented these exact adaptations. The evidence sits in skin biology, in cold climate human studies, and in populations still living this way today. So let's break down exactly how it worked. Here's the bold claim. Dirt was insulation. Ancient humans built up a thick layer of natural body oil, called sebum, mixed with dirt, sweat, and dead skin. This layer could get several millimeters thick over weeks without washing. That layer did two things. It trapped a thin pocket of warm air directly against the skin, and it acted as a physical barrier against wind and moisture, the two fastest ways to lose body heat. Modern cold climate researchers have studied this exact phenomenon in unwashed skin. Sebum is naturally water resistant. When it builds up, it functions almost like a thin layer of grease on a jacket. It repels moisture and slows heat loss dramatically. Think about it like this. A dry sponge loses heat fast because air moves through it. A sponge coated in oil resists water and holds warmth. Ice Age skin worked the same way. The takeaway. Your skin's natural oils aren't just a byproduct. They're functional insulation your body builds automatically, if you let it. But oil alone wasn't enough. They needed to trap heat on purpose. That's where the next layer comes in. Quick fact, some Arctic populations today still avoid daily washing in peak winter, for this exact reason. Bold claim, animal fat rubbed directly onto skin was the original winter jacket. Beyond their own body oil, Ice Age humans rendered fat from animals, mammoths, reindeer, seals, and rubbed it directly onto exposed skin. Face, hands, any area not covered by hide. This wasn't cosmetic. Animal fat has a much higher resistance to freezing than water-based skin moisture. A layer of rendered fat on the face could mean the difference between frostbite in 20 minutes versus 2 hours. Inuit populations documented in the 20th century used whale and seal blubber the exact same way, coating skin before long hunts in extreme cold. Explorers who adopted this method reported dramatically reduced frostbite compared to those who didn't. Here's the number that matters. Exposed. Untreated skin in minus 40 degree wind can develop frostbite in under 10 minutes. Skin coated in animal fat can extend that window to over an hour. The takeaway, fat conducts heat away from the body far slower than bare skin exposed to wind. It's a barrier, not a blanket. Skin was covered. But what about breathing that freezing air directly into your lungs? That's the next problem they had to solve. Here's something most people get wrong. Cold air itself doesn't kill you first. Moisture loss does. Bold claim, they engineered their own breath to survive. Breathing minus 40 degree air directly can damage lung tissue and rapidly dehydrate the body, since your lungs humidify every breath you take. Ice Age humans figured out a workaround, breathing through fur, hide, or woven material held near the mouth. This created a small pocket of warmer moisture-retaining air right at the mouth and nose, before it hit the lungs. Modern cold weather gear still uses this exact principle. Buffs, balaclavas, and cold weather masks all work by pre-warming inhaled air. Without this trick, prolonged exposure to extreme cold air can cause a condition where the lungs lose moisture and function faster, accelerating hypothermia. With it, that risk drops significantly. The takeaway. Survival wasn't just about staying warm, it was about controlling every single point where the body lost heat or moisture, including your breath. Now here's where it gets even more extreme. Because skin oil and fat weren't enough on their own, they needed a barrier they could sleep in. This next one is the part that sounds the most disgusting. Stay with me. Bold claim, they slept inside rotting animal remains. In the most extreme conditions, some Ice Age groups used freshly killed animal carcasses as emergency shelter, climbing inside a gutted mammoth or large mammal to sleep, using the body itself as insulation. The body heat retained in the carcass, combined with the thick hide and fat layer, created a warm pocket that could hold heat for hours after the animal's death. Evidence for this comes from archaeological reconstructions of Ice Age survival strategies in extreme sub-zero environments, where shelter materials were scarce and immediate warmth meant the difference between life and death. This is echoed in survival accounts from other extreme cold hunters throughout history who use the same emergency principle. A fresh carcass retains and traps heat far longer than an empty shelter exposed to wind. The number that matters here: a large animal carcass can retain usable warmth for several hours after death, sometimes stretching into a full overnight survival window in a true emergency. The takeaway: when every conventional shelter option fails, the environment itself, however extreme the solution, becomes the last line of defense. That combination, oiled skin, fat coating, controlled breathing, and emergency shelter, is why they made it through winters that would kill most modern humans in a single night. Bold claim. This system worked because it was layered, not because any single trick was enough. No one method kept them alive. It was oil trapping air near the skin, fat blocking wind and moisture, breath control protecting the lungs, and emergency shelter for worst case scenarios. Modern cold weather survival science still follows the same layered logic. Base layer, insulating layer, weatherproof shell. Ice Age humans built that same system using only their bodies and their environment. The takeaway: survival was never about one genius trick, it was about stacking small defenses until the cold had no way in. So back to that number at the start. Minus 40 degrees, no fire, no shelter, just skin. Now you know how they actually did it. Not toughness, not luck, a disgusting deliberate system, unwashed skin, animal fat, controlled breath, and when nothing else was left, the body of the animal that fed them. Next time you step outside in winter and reach for a synthetic jacket, remember, your ancestors built the exact same protection out of nothing but fat, dirt, and instinct. If this kind of survival history blows your mind, subscribe, because next week we're covering the ancient trick that let humans predict blizzards 3 days before they hit, with zero technology.